Sheldon guy who is deaf replied, "Deaf people, kind of need to call 911 sometimes." This is a good moment.
I was thinking like if you were hiding in a room somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. That too.
That's what always gets you in the movies, is that you're like whispering to the 911 person and then they hear you.
Hi, somebody's trying to murder me. They're just.
That's why you call.
Next to
That's
me.
why you call 911 and you tell them that you would like to order a pizza.
And then the 911 person is like, huh? What did you say? Repeat
Why
that
can't
louder.
I would get a pizza with a side order of ambulance?
I would like to order a pizza by text. Why can I can order an ambulance with a text message, but not a pizza?
That's
I
a
thought,
good idea.
didn't Pizza Hut or Domino's do that for a while or something? Or tried to?
I don't know.
Yeah, they do. They send you to the hospital. Is that what we're talking about?
That's good.
Is it me, or is nobody said a single damn thing in the chat room yet?
No one has said. There's no one in the chat room.
I said something.
Scuttlefield's there.
Well,
Scuttlefield
the chat
is logged
isn't.
into
It's
the
not
chat.
pinned to the front page yet, is it?
Scuttlefield is like a fixture of the chat room.
There are 3 people there
He's
who aren't us.
more thing than man.
And one of them is Justin.
Wait, did we
They have
get
several fixtures?
Did we get voicemails this week?
We got
We
one
got one.
a couple hours ago.
Oh, I didn't even listen to it.
If it wasn't Freak Fidel, we have to boot him from the chat room
That's true.
because I told
It
him.
wasn't Freak for Dell. Some major bullshit.
I asked him to do one thing this one time, and he couldn't even do it.
That's it. You're off the squad.
Is it weird that I automatically assume that Freak for Dell uses a Dell Streak?
I don't know. I hope so, though. I hope he's got that 5-inch Dell Streak, and he's just rocking it like the like back when a 5-inch phone really was gigantic because the bezels were like half again as wide as the screen.
The 5-inch Dell Streak was like the size of a Nexus 7.
Yeah, easily. Yeah,
It
it
was
sort
massive.
of it like barely fit in.
So funny.
like,
David
Eugene's
and Liam
pocket.
are both frozen and smiling on my screen.
Mine too.
That's awesome.
I kind of, if I ever saw like an unlocked Dell Streak just like sitting in some electronics store, I would probably buy it just because it's
like an
I wonder if there's-
artifact.
it's so unspeakably bizarre. Like I should just collect strange Android devices. I would have like
the
We need
stranger
to get that
ones.
Kyocera.
Yeah.
Echo. Yeah, I would get the Kyocera Echo,
Yes.
and
Definitely the Echo.
and I would get the Dell Streak.
You need that Samsung flip phone too.
Get this
Yeah, I know.
Sony
And that
tablet key.
what was that? The Samsung Continuum, that thing that had the stripe
yeah.
painted across the screen to make it look like a TV.
eBay has the new Dell Streak 5 2GB Wi-Fi. Wait, what is this?
Huh?
Dell Streak 5 2GB Wi-Fi plus 3G 5-inch Android tablet smartphone unlocked for $99 with free shipping.
Wow, it's pretty good.
Reasonable. Yeah, this is I was watching an episode of Fringe like 2 days ago, and I guess the episode is probably, I don't know, like 3 years old. And right in the middle of it, they were having some sort of like flash forward thing that was supposed to be set like 30 years in the future, and they were using a Kyocera Echo, like it was some sort of crazy futuristic phone. And I had to actually go back. I had to apologize to my wife and tell her I need to rewind this. I just need to make sure they were actually using a Kyocera Echo.
Here's one locked to the Sprint network available on eBay for $24.95 with free shipping.
An Echo for $24.95.
Yes,
You can't
but
afford
it's
to
I want to
buy
get
it.
it just to set it on fire. Or
There was
something.
no such thing as a GSM version of that. I think it was only
No, there
for
wasn't.
Sprint.
It was a Sprint only clusterfuck.
And
so
that's
it
why it
doesn't
failed, because you just couldn't get it on any of the carriers.
That's true.
That's,
It wasn't that it was a.
That's
a-
the
you also
only
get
reason.
The Sidekick, the second Sidekick, the Android
You'll-
one.
You'll be
yes.
happy to know that they also have screen protectors for it.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
It's important.
They refer to it as a twin pack, but I think it's actually just one set.
It's like buying shoes. You don't buy the one shoe. You buy both shoes.
Right. You don't say a twin set of shoes, unless it's four
They
shoes.
should, though. That would be really good marketing. A 2-pack.
think if I had a Kyocera Echo, I would put Game Boy Dual DS on the with a Sharpie marker and sell it.
Close enough.
Did we review the Sony Tablet P?
I don't think we did.
I
Are
wish
we
we
going to
had.
pick any of those pink topics?
Do you think that Sony would still send us one?
I kind of think no.
I don't think they have any.
Well,
they probably
hey,
don't.
I just realized something, Ryan. I can totally send you a Continuum if you want one.
How do you have a Continuum?
My wife had one.
Oh wow, and it's still just sitting around. That was a
Yeah,
poor choice.
It's hanging out.
Is that did she
Why can't
flee
I
to the
see
iPhone after having that for a while? Is that what happened?
No, she went from that to the S3, the Galaxy S3.
No, I see.
The website is caching too long. It won't.
There may be.
The podcast won't show up on the main page.
The podcast won't show up on the main page.
Yep.
Oh,
So I guess you have to wait it out.
denial of service.
Are we getting DDoS? Is that what's happening?
No.
That's unfortunate.
Oh,
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I guess I'll take
You're
the
being
One
double
Mini
dust.
2, what's Axis Xperia A2, Motorola E. Yeah, I guess we can talk about that. The Smart TV, kill that. The Arc
Kill it
Book,
with fire.
fuck it. Flounder and Molly.
We should probably talk about that, but I didn't read that post closely enough to.
I didn't read it either, but I guess I'm gonna do
Yeah,
I
that.
can talk about
I'm
it.
going to run to the bathroom real quick before we start this show. So
Older
don't
and
start.
There's
without
no
me.
time.
Oh yeah, because we haven't started late like every other time we've done the show.
we are a minute and a half late already.
Oh well. Okay, I'll be back in like a minute and a half.
Well, David just
3
deleted
minutes.
half the show, so we're okay.
I'm timing you.
Okay.
Keep deleting the show. I like it.
LG posts new teaser video for G Watch.
I was,
No.
Can I start calling it Gwatch?
The Gwatch, yes, I love it.
Gwatch.
Perfect.
I was hoping we were going to talk about Volantis in that post too, so I could save my little fun fact about how that's technically a fish.
A Gwatch?
No, Volantis.
What's Volantis?
Okay, I know about that.
It's a constellation modeled after a flying fish.
Mhm.
So it's like a cosmological fish.
Cosmological fish.
It's also the name of Lady Gaga's flying dress.
Oh my god, the website will not update. It still shows the 1+1 as the sticky post. Does it show the podcast sticky for anybody else?
I don't know. Let me load the site. This computer.
What's the website again?
DeepAndroidPolices.com.
It is not sticky.
No
What the
stickiness.
One plus.
I've got to
sticky.
get rid of this bio.
No podcast sticky.
I'm actually kind of glad that Sony got rid of the Vio business. Is it because the OnePlus thing is sticky?
I unstickied that.
Oh. It's sticky for me.
It's just being a bitch.
Did nobody? Okay,
It
we're
never
gonna.
settles for being unstickied.
So okay, I can take that Moto E thing and we can just like merge it into the G with LTE because those are pretty much.
You can call it the Motorola example given.
Sure.
Isn't that what EG stands for? Example given. Or is it something Latin?
I don't know.
Damn it.
I.e., I'm confused. I used that wrong. It's probably Latin for eagleus gratimus. Those aren't even Latin
It is.
words.
It is actually Latin for exempli gratia.
Exempli gratia.
David, did you say you unstickied the OnePlus thing?
Yeah.
It's still stickied for me.
I know. I told Artem that it's not
Yay!
doing
Website
things.
is our brokens. We don't have to do podcasts.
Artem
Can't
probably
sticky the
dicked
post.
with the setting and it's caching something too long.
Setting dicker.
I can't join the. Oh wait. there it
Okay,
goes.
so the list of examples given following an EG should not be exhaustive. In that case, IE should be used instead.
What does IE stand for?
IE stands for
A whole bunch of exempli?
Infinite exempli.
Infinite.
Infinite examples.
Infinitum exemplitorium.
Somewhere here it's going to
So what was it? Exempli gratia?
exemplia gratia.
Exemplia.
I think so.
Mama poker face, mama poker face.
Can that be the intro music to the show?
It's
I would
singing
like to do a show where Bob sings every
that.
interstitial music.
I can do that.
He just like does his best imitation of the music we already have.
Can that be the episode where we all have cartoon hats?
Floating cartoon hats or
Floating or otherwise, it depends on your preference.
I guess you could call it a floatdora.
Yes.
Float
That's actually that's too forced.
By the way, IE stands
That
for
one was
id
too forced,
est.
dude.
Id est.
Id
Id est.
Yes, ID space EST.
is that a Latin
And it
thing?
means that is.
That is id est.
the question.
What is your favorite color?
What is your name?
I want someone to write something funny in the chat room. Go.
Well, it'll take him like 30 seconds to catch up, so you have time to take a big breath so you can laugh really loud.
Not counting the time it takes for them to think of something really funny to say in the chat room.
Darn it!
I recently read that the reason people can't, like, when you're not able to hold your breath any longer, it's not because you need oxygen, it's because you have too much carbon dioxide.
That is how your body tells, I think, when you're not breathing correctly. You don't gauge how much oxygen is in your blood, just how much air has not been expelled from your lungs.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It was on Reddit, that post where they were showing the Navy SEALs doing the swimming thing.
The
And
what
someone
thing?
said you can actually, the thing where they let all their breath out and go to the bottom of the pool and then come back up. And they said that people are able to like suppress the too much carbon dioxide impulse and hold their breath for longer.
Like the pearl divers at SeaWorld.
Oh no, I had this this friend who lived across the street from me when he was a kid. He'd hold his breath till he passed out all the time. It was hilarious.
That's not right.
In
It
some
was-
ways, that seems like
It
a
was
useful
funny as
skill.
hell. He would
No,
turn
I-
blue.
No, I remember like in junior high, that was a thing that like people figured out they could do. Maybe this happened in everyone's junior high, where they realized they could make themselves like pass out by holding their breaths and like leaning over or something.
Yeah.
This was like the alternative to smoking pot, I guess.
That's a really terrible alternative to smoking
Yeah.
pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
we
no,
used to
yeah,
have-
for sure.
We used to have people in my neighborhood that would do stupid stuff like that. They'd bend over and hold their breath with their leg between their head between their knees,
Yeah.
and then when they'd come up, you'd whack them in the chest and make them pass out. But yeah.
Yeah, the
Poor
nice thing is
man's-
like when you pass out, like you automatically start breathing again, so everything's
Right.
fine.
It's just like a reset
Hello.
switch.
Yes.
I can hear myself louder now.
Hold on, I need to reboot.
Here's this one is. This one has a shorter cable though.
Do we want to do the show, or
We could
Whenever, Whenever we have the 24-hour podcast, I'm going to go ahead and suggest that one of us passes out.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. What are we doing about that G3 thing? Do we want to just not do it because G3 is stupid, or what?
Did anybody watch it?
The
I
video?
watched it.
No.
Matt can talk about it because he watched it.
Did you care to talk about it?
No.
Why is Artem on the... Oh, wait, no, that's the AP account.
Hey, you know what? No, we don't have to talk about that.
It's frightened me for a minute. I'm like, why is Artem on the podcast spreadsheet? This isn't your place.
This is
Okay.
your place.
Okay. Let's do a show now.
All right. Let me hit the record button.
Mullins, it probably did affect his brain because he is kind of an idiot.
The kid that passed out
Yeah.
all the time. Right. I just wondered. I was just clarifying because you were talking about Artem in your last sentence. So. All right,
Kind of an idiot.
Matt.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, May 15th.
Let's do that again. Cause try your mic again.
We're peeking.
My mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are peeking like a zombie.
Peeking like a zombie.
Zombie. Let me try that again. Why is it?
Is that really quiet for you two?
Is it quiet? No, it isn't quiet at all.
It's extremely quiet.
You must only be hearing one channel. You're listening. Yeah. Try the other one.
Yeah.
Can you hear the guys? What about now? Yeah, if it's a three-prong, it won't work. So you'll probably have to do something else. We'll eventually start the show. One moment.
It's working now.
It is working? What the crap, Liam? Are you making planes fly overhead?
I'm actually in an air hangar right now.
You're in an air hangar?
Yeah.
Is that like an inflatable device to put your clothes on?
You put your... Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
I've only got left channel. I'm gonna switch back to the other headphones.
Okay.
Is
I'll let you
is Liam actually in a hangar right now?
No, I'm just really close to like a little local airport.
See, we can just never tell with you because you're in weird places all the time.
I'm in weird places all the time. I still think we should all try to podcast from a different area every week.
Your background is always beige.
Well, I'm going to podcast from a different area in like 3 weeks. I'm going to move. So that'll be different.
I
So
just
it'll be a white wall instead of a bed and stuff. And that's going to be the difference.
Nice.
We're just
I
getting
actually
that-
carry a large beige backdrop with me wherever I go. Just so that I can set it up.
Is my mic working okay now?
Yeah, it was working fine before.
Okay.
Boogers. Everything's kind of peaky.
Can you
It's
say
like
that in a
It
robot
is,
voice?
it is peaky.
Peaky. Peaky.
That's what I say to my daughter when I
Hello, everybody. It is Peaky. Peaky. Hello? Okay, let's start the show.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, May 15th, 2014. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddick.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
And I'm the guy pressing buttons. My name is Bob Severns. Welcome to the show.
Let's just have awkward silence for the rest of the show.
No awkward silence, Matt.
No awkward silence. All right, so, well, we got a big show. Let's get everything kicked off this week with a little Carrier 411.
Carrier 411.
All right, so AT&T was all over the news this week, and they started off with a little bit of a rumor that floated around regarding their possible dealings with a major spectrum holder that currently isn't in the cell phone market. So, first of all, David, what's the story? What AT&T's looking to make a purchase, and what are they looking to buy?
They're looking to buy exactly one DirecTV.
Whoa!
Yeah. So they want to buy DirecTV for $50 billion. It's
Whoa!
a lot of money.
How much do they have to give DirecTV if it doesn't work? That's the question you always have to ask with AT&T.
Yeah, the deal might lose reception.
Oh!
DirecTV and AT&T trying to connect. I mean, there's just it writes itself.
It was a cloudy day, and it just wasn't working.
It's a cloudy day in San Francisco at 5 o'clock. So yeah, it's rumored they want to buy DirecTV. This isn't the first time AT&T's been rumored to want to purchase a satellite provider. Really, there only are two big satellite providers left in the U.S., DirecTV and Dish Network. Satellite's been really struggling as internet video services have really taken off here in the U.S., especially among the younger demographics. So satellite companies are often bleeding subscribers. They have to be extremely price competitive. So AT&T is also a TV provider. They have their Uverse service, which is TV, internet, and phone. Now, if they get DirecTV, they can offload all that traffic, all that burden on their network doing broadcast TV to DirecTV. And this would allow them to free up more of that infrastructure for internet service to increase speed and probably to reduce some of the overhead they have involved with that system. So supposedly we're going to hear about it in the next week or two if it's going to happen. So we'll know fairly soon if this is legit.
The first thing that I was concerned about when I saw this was that it was killing the deal that Google was talking about, making an ISP, but I just remembered that was Dish Network and not DirecTV, so there's still hope.
There is.
All right, so in addition to that, AT&T also has announced that they're going to be rolling out their very, 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 very first experiment with VoLT, or Voice over LTE, coming very soon, right, Ryan?
Yeah, May 23rd, they're going to roll it out in a few markets. It's only going to be in the states of Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. It will roll out other places later, so this is essentially just IP voice all happening over the LTE network, so you won't need to fall back to 3G to do voice calls. They're calling this HD voice. It is a kind of HD voice, but that's different than the HD voice that Sprint and T-Mobile have already deployed on 3G technologies. So you will not be able to use this unless both you and the person you're calling have a device that works with Volt or Volti, however you're supposed to pronounce it. But it's going to take a while before this is a common thing.
Volti.
If you lose a call, do you have to revolt?
Yes.
That was a good video game, Revolt.
That joke was revolting.
It was. All right, so AT&T also announced a new data sharing plan that has a little bit of an unusual endpoint. This time it's sharing your data with your cars. So that's a new one, David.
It is a new one. AT&T would like you to please pay them $10 more a month to connect one of your select model year 2015 GM vehicles to AT&T's mobile share data plans. GM will also sell data standalone to OnStar customers. That is a catch. You do have to have OnStar. It sounds like if you have the free OnStar that comes with the car for 5 years, it'll work with it. If you don't have an AT&T plan, though, GM will charge you more if you have OnStar Basic versus one of the premium plans that you have to pay a fee for. Although the data costs actually aren't too terribly bad when you look at them. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but they weren't too bad. So yeah, you can get your car to drink down some of your data on your AT&T plan. I'm not sure why exactly you necessarily want to do that with GM's kind of crappy infotainment systems. But it'll be an option, and so this isn't going to have any legacy support. You have to have a model year 2015 vehicle, and some of the cars won't even have it until midway through production for that model year. It's going to be over 30 cars. The first one is the 2015 Impala.
Wait a second. So they're going to introduce it halfway through the model year?
For some cars, yeah. So for like a few Cadillacs and a few Buicks. It won't be available as an option until later this year. Even though the 2015 models are already out, they won't be equipped with it till later.
That'd be great if they advertised the second release of those vehicles the same way that HTC advertised the announce of the HTC One M8. Buyer's remorse coming on, and then whatever the date is.
I would have called it like the Corvette LTE, Corvette 4G.
The Corvette.
Corvelti. All right, let's move on to the rumor roundup. All right, so most of the leaks this week can be summed up with one general headline, and that is that LG just can't keep their stuff to themselves. So we saw a video come out this week that I think was officially unintended, but lots of press renders, lots of pictures in other various shapes and sizes. So, David, what do we know new about the LG that LG G3 that maybe we haven't seen in any of the other previous leaks?
Absolutely nothing.
Bummer.
It's just nicer pictures of it. Although EV-Leaks claims that that little black module on the back next to the camera is a laser for autofocusing, not for attacking your enemies.
Ah,
I know.
I wanted the enemy attack module.
Can I use it to attack my friends?
L-beam.
I want to go ahead and predict that in the one-page vertically scrolling promotional site that this phone will inevitably have, that part is going to just say laser focus in white text with a period.
It's a good
Laser
call.
focus.
Probably, yeah.
That's my prediction.
I like it.
Okay, so something that I think is odd about this phone is that on the front, the top is, in all these renders, is like black, but then the bottom is whatever color the back is, right? Isn't that kind
But
of...
it's like it's wearing a little belt.
I don't know.
It always
I
feels
don't
to
think
me
that
like
looks
it's
very
in a
good.
little pocket.
And then they have the LG logo like right dead center in the bottom middle,
Yeah.
which I think is also
I
super
really
cool.
hope it's plastic just so we can all groan collectively at the fake metal texture.
Oh man, I think last week we talked about this, and I still hold the position that it would be incredibly stupid for them to do that.
It would, but we are talking about LG.
Yeah. Well, I mean like the G pad was metal, so
Was it?
yeah, the back of it.
I feel like they had a plastic version of it too.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe the white one.
When we play with it at IFA, I thought it was
Yeah.
plastic. Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Most of it is plastic. It's like the top and bottom part are plastic, but the middle is metal.
Oh, that would make more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like an entirely metal tablet or something.
So when you're
Well,
holding
speaking
it,
of tablets, we had some leaks this week regarding some upcoming Samsung tablets as well, because I don't think there's enough different lines of Samsung tablets, so they're adding another one, right, David?
They are. So we're going to have more Samsung tablets, even though there are already like 85 of them. They're probably going to be AMOLED tablets. They're probably going to be called the Galaxy Tab S line, because having the Tab line, the Tab Pro line, and the Note line, and the Note Pro, and the whatever else there's going to be, plus Galaxy Tab S, is not going to confuse consumers in any way, shape, or form. These tablets supposedly will have AMOLED displays, which will make them very pretty. So I'm sure they will actually... I bet these will actually probably sell pretty well, because those AMOLED displays, the newer generation ones, are awesome.
I was kind of hoping it would be Galaxy Stab instead of Galaxy Tab S.
Galaxy Tabs.
It works like an 80s switchblade.
All right, let's move on to Android at ARMS. All right, so bad news for Google. We don't know how bad yet. It could be worse than it is now, but it also could be exactly the same as it was before. And what I mean by all that is Google won previously in the claims against it by Oracle, and now it appears that is a little less resolved than it was previously, right, David?
Yeah, so the federal, or the court for the federal appellate court for the federal, or the, goddamn it, the Federal Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. It's a mouthful, that one. Overturned the lower court's decision as to the copyrightability of the structure, organization, and sequence of Oracle's Java APIs. So what they ruled is really, really weird, and has a lot of people like super upset and saying, "Oh my God, this is a huge problem for intellectual property and software programming." And there is some degree of legitimacy to those arguments, I think. So what the court said is that Oracle has these Java APIs. There are 37 of them, and Google copied the structure, the sequence, and the organization of those APIs when it built its own version of those APIs as part of the Dalvik virtual machine. Because, as you know, Android basically uses, in a sense, Java applications. It's not directly compatible. And I'm not a programmer, so I can't get into the intricacies of it because I don't understand it. But basically, Google took the structure, organization, and sequence of those APIs and basically laid out everything like a Java, like if Oracle deployed a Java instance, it looks like that, even though they're not exactly the same. So Oracle's argument was, hey, we created the organization, structure, and sequence of those APIs the way it is for a reason that's copyrightable. It's not based on what they do. It's based on the fact that we made them that way and they have value because that's how we decided to do it. And copying that is just, basically it's copyright infringement. It's being lazy. It's not coming up with your own way of doing it. And Google said, no way, that's not copyrightable. You're trying to hide function as form, which I agree with. I totally agree with that argument that Oracle is essentially trying to say that, oh no, this is about the way they're structured and the way they're sequenced and the way they're organized. But really, they're just trying to protect the functions of these APIs and basically trying to make a shell copyright argument to basically get Google. The court disagreed. The court said, no, we agree with Oracle 100%, that the structure, sequence, and organizations of these APIs are copyrightable. And basically that led the internet to conclude, oh, APIs are copyrightable now, which isn't really correct. The structure, sequence, and organization of APIs are copyrightable. It is very controversial. It's hard to say what implications as far as damages that would actually have, though. It's hard to say what the value of the structure, sequence, and organization of an API is versus the actual code and the functional value of that API, because you do have to weigh those things. So it's going to go back to the lower court on remand, and they're going to decide, basically, if Google infringed, which the first jury said they did, but the first jury also said the APIs weren't copyrightable. So a new jury has to decide what the damages are if Google's infringement wasn't fair use. So they're going to have to do a fair use argument in which Google is basically going to argue, hey, we only copied those APIs in sequence, form, and organization because that it was necessary for interoperability, or probably a better argument is that the sequence, structure, and organization of these APIs have no real economic value. Oracle couldn't use these, market these for their sequence, structure, and organization without the functional bits, and they're worthless without the actual meat of those APIs. I think that's their best argument. So even if Google loses on fair use, then the jury has to decide damages, and that's going to be a complicated issue. So we'll hear about this probably again in a year.
Alrighty then, let's move on to Code Google. All right, probably the biggest rumor that we've had this week, even aside from the rumor roundup earlier in the show, has been revolving around something new that may be going on with Google's home screen experience. And this is a pretty far-reaching change, so I'm gonna kick it over to Liam to kind of go through, what our rumor is, where we think it came from, and what it's going to mean for probably Nexus devices, and who knows what else. And
Okay,
Bob's
so
wearing a big obnoxious orange hat.
So there are a few pieces to this. The main one is the Android UI is about to get a major shakeup if our information is accurate. Essentially, there's going to be a card-based notification shade that separates out high priority and low priority through kind of a bumper screen. Obviously, the navigation buttons, like we talked about before, are going to be new and function differently. There will be a new recents menu, and there's evidence that there will be an app grid rather than an app drawer, which might or might not be. You might or might not be able to activate that with a switch. But the interesting thing is that I'm assuming, because of how googly this is, that it's going to be part of the Google Now launcher. But it includes the recents menu and the notification drawer and the navigation buttons. So I'm thinking those are pieces of the System UI app, so I'm not sure if Google's going to break those out of the System UI app or what's going to happen. But the important thing to remember is, like, we leaked the Google Experience Launcher back before the Nexus 5 came out, and we saw through that there were a lot of like weird changes that they made that ended up not happening, or things where the gist of the change remained, but the actual implementation was different. So I'm assuming something similar is going to happen here, where we have the same kind of idea. Like, you might have the app grid that you can turn on and off, and the notification shade will probably be card-based. But it might not be exactly how it's looking now. But I'll just be interested to see how they break out those pieces to be able to, basically not take over the stock Android experience with the new shade and everything.
I think
call me crazy. I like the grid. I've never really loved the app drawer.
I like the grid too, and somebody pointed out in the comments of that post that there's a snippet in the 4.4.3 changelog for it's not connected to anything yet, but it's for toggling on and off all apps and like how widgets will behave, which is one of the things people kind of freaked out about, was whether there would be widgets. So it sounds like, depending on what you choose, there may or may not be widgets on the home screen. Which is okay with me, because I really don't use widgets at all.
I don't use widgets at all anymore.
I use a lot of widgets, actually. That it would make me very sad if widgets were harder to use.
They don't prefer to be called widgets. They're little apps.
Okay.
We called them applets. Let's go back to 1997.
Ooh. Yeah, let's not do that.
Well, my biggest concern is
I'd have hair.
My biggest concern is that all of the Android fanboys from like 4 years ago won't have any idea what to use as an example when they're explaining to people why Android is superior if we don't have widgets.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. A lot of people admitted that they don't actually use widgets anymore, but it's kind of one of the main pillars of why people say Android's awesome.
Yes.
I mean, it used to be. There's
use
so much less innovation, I think, happening with widgets anymore. It used to be really popular.
It's funny because I use widgets quite a bit, but I use widgets that I can make be whatever the hell I want them to be instead of the widgets that the company decides what they are.
Customizable widgets.
Yeah, like super widgets I use a lot. Minimal text, stuff like that. Stuff where you make the widgets I love, but stuff that like Google gives you your little play music widget, I don't like it at all because it doesn't look the way all the stuff I designed to look away on my phone looks. So I don't know. I like customizable widgets. I don't like uncustomizable widgets. I guess that's the gist of it.
Well, I'm sure we can all just take great happiness in the fact that CyEngineMod will probably never abandon widgets. So it'll be okay, everybody.
I think this whole, the widgets being in peril is really interesting to me, because it seems like it's a shift from Android being more about functionality, with like all kinds of weird looking widgets that are different sizes that you can put all over the place, to like making sure that the user can't make a total mess out of everything, Like, they can't make it hard for themselves to use by adding too much crap that looks terrible to their home screen.
I mean, as long as this is confined to an updated launcher, I don't think that anyone will really complain too hard, because there are always going to be alternatives.
Yes, and there will always be third-party launchers that make your third-party launcher look like this original party launcher.
It's true.
Yes.
Apex or Nova or somebody will have this exact thing mimicked in no time, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll just be if you want all of the search and Google Now stuff built into the actual launcher itself.
Which you do.
Well, some people do. So I know some people that turn Google Now off. I don't understand why, but there's some sort of superstition going around that it causes some sort of battery life problem.
If you
never
turn
seen this.
Google Now off, is it Google then?
Google earlier.
Yes, that is actually what it's called.
That would be far superior.
Um,
It actually does that quite a bit, actually. I mean, if you think about it, it is Google earlier a lot of the time, because when you open it up, it's like, oh, it's already there, the information I needed. Thanks, Google.
Google Premonition.
I'm actually looking forward to Android having more colors. Like, there's a whole palette of colors available now, but they never get used.
Yeah, the notification shade and the settings they still feel so old. They haven't really changed much since Ice Cream Sandwich.
And it seems like such a waste to me that there are so many colors that they could use in the system, and they just don't ever.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any part of the leak that I hope is close to the final product, it's the notification shade. I think that looks really cool.
Yeah, I think it'll
It has
definitely.
has a much more tactile look.
Yeah, and I like that the notifications that I don't care about won't be at the
That's
top.
so good because, like, if I'm connected to something like Bluetooth, I don't need to know that that's there unless I want to
Right.
check to see if it's there. That should be hidden. It makes so much sense.
I just want to say that one of the first things I noticed is that it seems like the notification shade, they're actually kind of making it to look more in sync with Android Wear.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I think, and I said this in the last post that we did. I think it was OK Google Everywhere, but Android Wear actually has a lot of hints design-wise. Like a lot of pieces that we're seeing in these leaks are already in Wear, and my theory is that like we've heard that manufacturers are making these devices. We've seen some of them. We've seen the developer preview, but nobody's given us an in-depth look. Like LG came out with a video about their watch, but it was totally fluff. It was just about how the watch is designed and like look at this grid and look at all these shapes and stuff. But they're not giving us an in-depth look at the UI because it's influenced by the next version of Android. That's my pet theory.
That's a good theory. I'll go with it. I think it'll probably take some getting used to having your notification shade look so much similar to Google Now, but I don't think it'll take long to get used to.
No.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Bit. All right, so let's move on to another set of fairly substantial rumors. There's some new code names for potential Nexus or similar devices that made their way into an Android 4.4.3 changelog. So, David, what do we suspect is going on here?
So we've got two devices we're seeing. One is Flounder, which at this point is widely rumored to be a 7.9-inch, or excuse me, a 8.9-inch tablet manufactured by HTC. We're thinking it'll be a Nexus tablet, but we don't know at this point. And it's not clear if this will replace the Nexus 7, or if this is going to be kind of an in-between tablet, or maybe if there's going to be a new Nexus 7, this will be a Nexus 8.9, or if the Nexus 10 is getting axed, then the Nexus 7 will stick around, or if they're axing both the Nexus 7 and the Nexus 10 and opting for a single tablet size, which would be really interesting. The other one is Molly, which we're pretty sure is a TV. As you remember, The Verge leaked some shots of the Android TV UI last month, and it looks totally radically different from Google TV, and that it doesn't look shitty. It looks like something designed for your television, designed to show you your viewable content in a very visual way, I guess I'd say. It's very, very image-centric. So we know that that's probably going to be a television device. It's not clear if it's going to actually be a TV or more likely a box. I would guess a box. As far as the manufacturer, I don't think that's actually clear. So this may be a Google branded device, and it may be a maybe just some kind of OEM that Google picks up to create it without any specific secondary branding, unlike Nexus devices. So it may
My
not
guess
be
is they're
called
going to use the
Nexus.
old. They're going to use all the Nexus Q shells that they have left over.
That'd be awesome because the Nexus Q does look really cool.
All right, good deal. So obviously we can expect to hear a lot more about those types of things leading up to Google I/O, and we'll move on a little bit to Google Glass because the Explorer program, which was initially announced at Google I/O 2 years ago, is moving on in full swing, and this time it's available to a lot more folks, right, Liam?
Yeah, so after they had the 1-day sale and then accidentally left the store open for everybody and then claimed that they didn't, they decided to finally open it up to anybody in the US who has $1,500 to burn on an alpha product, which is cool, but they didn't promise that it would be forever. They said while we have them on hand, and given the fact that they said they ran out of inventory during the 1-day sale, there's no telling how long this will last. But I guess if there's anybody out there who wants Glass and doesn't already have it, which I can't imagine there are too many left, there you go. Go get it.
Do you think that there's any chance that they're looking to just kind of liquidate the existing stock because they're about to release a consumer-ready version?
I mean, I'm sure that they're trying to get rid of old units because I think there has to be a hardware revision soon. But I also don't think it's anywhere near being ready. Like, I can't imagine that they have a consumer-ready version working right now. I mean, the firmware is still not finished. There's not enough apps. So, but there is evidence that they have more languages. So hopefully that'll launch in some new markets soon. We didn't do a teardown of the new MyGlass app, but there are string files for Japanese, Italian, Romanian, and some other languages. So, who knows?
I wonder, I've always wondered this. If buying into the Explorer program basically makes you a honorary kind of Glass user for life and that you just keep getting the updates, or if once the Explorer program ends, then you have to buy into the consumer line.
A lot of people have been talking about that, especially on the Explorer forums, of like what is going to happen when it finally launches. And of course, Google's not saying anything. Everybody's hoping a lot of things, but there's no way of knowing. I would hope that we would get the final hardware revision, but
Yeah,
at this point, I'm not really expecting it one way or the other.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they're still selling this for $1,500, if they weren't planning to at least give all the Explorers the actual final version of it. I mean,
Yeah.
you probably won't get them, for years to come every time there's a new one. But
Right.
I mean, it would be really mean of Google to suddenly say, okay,
Yeah.
everyone can buy this for $1,500. Oops, new one.
And then 6 months later, the real one comes out. Yeah.
And it's only 500. That's the worst part.
Yeah. Cody had an interesting theory about all these old units that are floating around, like the ones that everybody sent back and the ones that will inevitably be sending back once the new one comes out. That maybe they're going to use those to test for new markets. So like test out how it works in new markets and new languages and everything before trading those people to the new one.
I wonder. I mean, is the battery even like OEM replaceable in that thing?
I don't know.
Because if it isn't, then it would probably be pretty worthless.
That's true. It would wear out. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure if Google could even replace it at that point because it's sealed in there. I mean, there's no real screw to get in. You just have to pry it apart.
All right, so in other Google sales news, Google has added a new case option for the Nexus 5, and this time only, 6 months after the device launched?
Yeah. So they added a new line of snap cases in some colors. They have black, white, silver, clear, and this weird, like, minty, aqua blue kind of color, which I have here, which is cool. A lot of
I
people...
love the minty aqua blue.
I actually liked it a lot too. I wish that this was one of their accessory colors, but this is the only accessory of this color so far. But yeah, the plastic, it's plastic. It is soft touch though. It's not like shiny or gross or anything. a lot of people have been asking if it's the exact same thing as like the super cheap snap cases you can get on Amazon or eBay or whatever. It might be. It feels nice to me. Obviously, I'm sure that the Google logo is costing a lot of that price, but it's okay. I'll put up a quick look on the site soon, but it's it's not life-changing, but it's also not a bad case.
I think they should call that blue color used toothpaste.
It's like when you spit out your toothpaste. That's
That's exactly what color it is. It's perfect. It's got good marketability, I'm telling you. All right, so today Google announced a pretty unexpected feature on the developer blog. PayPal billing is coming to the Play Store for users in Austria, Belgium, Canada, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, the US, and the UK. The update is going to take a little bit of time to roll out, but if you head on over to the website, we've got an APK download because we're always on top of that. So if you're interested in paying for various things with your PayPal account, you can do that now, which is awesome, especially when you get paid via PayPal. All right, let's move on to the hot sheet. All right, so Motorola had a couple of devices to announce this week. So first off was the Moto E that we'd seen kind of some leaks around the interwebs this past couple of weeks. So Ryan, what's the Moto E?
It's pretty much what the leaks said it would be. It is a lower-end device. It's even cheaper than the Moto G. It's going to be $129 off contract. It's a 4.3-inch screen, so it's a little bit smaller. It's QVGA, that's 540 by 960, but that's still 256 PPI, which is pretty good. I mean, when you think of, this is like a low-end phone now, that's pretty impressive. That would have been a very, very high-end phone, 3 years ago. It has a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon 200, gig of RAM, 4 gigs of storage, and it will ship with Android 4.4. So that's pretty cool. It's a lot like the Moto G design-wise. It's just a little bit chunkier, maybe. But it'll have swappable backs, to maybe snazz it up a little bit. And then at the same time, Motorola announced that the Moto G is getting a small hardware update. There will be a version of it that you can buy that has LTE, which was one of the few, I think, missing pieces that kept it from being a phone that a lot of people would buy. So it'll be a little bit more expensive, but you'll be able to buy it very soon, I think, early June. You can pre-order it now on Amazon, and it will be delivered between June 3rd and 6th.
I think a lot of people were disappointed with the original Moto G that it had the low-end price, but not necessarily the low-end specs that they were looking for. So the Moto E kind of fills that gap where it's really cheap and it also isn't really that super advanced technologically.
I want a really cheap phone, but I don't want to be too good. If it's too good, I feel like I'm showing off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, the price difference is like $50, I think, between the 3G version of the Moto G and the Moto E. I mean, it's
It's $90 if you want to get LTE. I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to get the LTE, but I mean, just between the 3G versions, I mean, it's not an insignificant amount. I mean, I guess if I were going to buy one of these devices, I would have trouble justifying the E, but it's I think mostly going to be targeted at the developing world, even more so than the G was. So, and Motorola had a lot of success with the Moto G in a way that they didn't really with the Moto X.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good seller. They still lost a fuck ton of money, though, so I'm not sure how much of a success.
No, they haven't broken down how much of that was because the Moto X didn't sell that well. I mean, for all we know, if they had just focused on the Moto G, they might have done pretty well.
Maybe so.
Yeah, well, we'll find out now that they're a Lenovo company. They won't be allowed to just hemorrhage money like that.
Of course not.
Of course, safe to say that this particular product was well along the design pipeline before that change of ownership happened.
Indeed.
All right, so HTC has made their next offering in the quote-unquote mini line of phones, the HTC One Mini 2. is official. And David, is it a worthy companion to the HTC One M8?
Yeah, no, not really. It's more of it's a successor to the One Mini, but it's not really a companion device to the One M8. I mean, it kind of looks like it, but it also really looks like the One M7. So it doesn't have an ultra-pixel camera. They finally dashed that idea, which I think is smart because that camera just no. It has a Snapdragon 400 processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, which I just don't think is enough anymore on an Android device. 1.5 gigabytes even makes a big difference over 1. It has a 4.5-inch 720p display, which is definitely good enough. Some people wouldn't call that mini, but I guess it's mini compared to everything else. It has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera. Like I said, it's not ultra-pixel, a 5 megapixel front-facing camera for all of your selfie action, or what's the word?
Masturbation.
That too. And otherwise, it has Snapdragon 400 processor. It's not even coming to America at this point, although it is rumored, courtesy of EV Leaks, that this is going to come to Verizon as the HTC One Remix, which is an awful name. Just throwing that out there. And yeah, that's the One Mini 2, which is also a terrible, terrible name.
The One Mini 2. One is kind of like a Mini 2, if you think about it.
I don't think about it.
You probably shouldn't. All right, so LG had some announcements this week regarding some tablets. The LG G Pad is now not just a tablet, but it's a line of tablets. So what do we got? What do we got coming down the pipes as far as the G Pad line of tablets, Ryan?
There will be a 7-inch, 8-inch, and 10.1-inch tablet, and that is almost all we know about them. They released some press images. You can go to the site and look at those. And they didn't tell us how much they'll cost or what sort of specs they'll have. I think there was a subsequent leak a day or two ago that might have shown some pretty mediocre specs, at least for the 7-inch version. I mean, I feel like it would be very odd for them to take the G-Pad name and use it on something that's pretty cheap, because the G-Pad 8.3 was, when it came out, was a reasonably high-end device, and it still is pretty good, I guess. I mean, it was the first Google Play Edition tablet, so it would be weird for them to just sort of throw that name away on something that's low-end, and they don't make that many tablets. So, I mean, it's not like Samsung where they can make 8 different lines of tablets and they can have one that's super cheap and then have better ones. So who knows what they're going to do, but we'll find out in a week or two. I think they're going to officially announce them.
Fun fact, they're collectively known as G-Unit.
Yeah, okay. Liam is laughing, but he's muted. I just want everybody to know that.
Okay.
That's because he's not laughing with you.
That's true.
I just think
All right,
that's
so
a loud laugh.
you have a loud laugh?
Yeah,
I
of
think he
course.
just meant audible.
All right, so Xiaomi has also announced a new tablet. It's the first of its kind. It's of course, following in the line of the Tegra K1 model that NVIDIA set forth. So, David, well, first of all, is this something we're going to get here, and should we be hoping to?
Absolutely, not-absolutely. It's not going to happen. Mostly because Apple would sue the ever-living shit out of Xiaomi if they brought this to the United States. It's just, even looking at the lock screen, it's so painfully obvious the amount of copying that's going on here. It's not quite an outright attempt to clone it, but it's so close that it actually feels worse because of it than like an actual attempt to clone it. It's like they tried so
notice-
hard to get so close.
The home button is, if I'm not mistaken, actually the same shape
It
as
is.
the old home
It
button
is.
from iPads.
It's exactly the same shape. Oh, it's
So, like-
just wonderful.
Wow.
So it has a 7.9-inch 2048 by 1536 display, which, yes, is a 4/3 aspect ratio. A Tegra K1 processor, which is probably going to make it pretty damn fast. 2 gigs of RAM, 16 or 64 gigabytes of storage with a micro SD slot, an 8 megapixel rear camera, 5 megapixel front. It runs my UI, and there will be 6 colors: black, white, green, blue, yellow, and pink. And all of the non-black options. Oh wait, there's a white one too. But all the colored options are kind of freakily pastel. So they look very, very springy, very optimistic. So these are going to be available in China and probably nowhere else. They're $240 and $270 respectively, but that's in China. So you have to remember that they're basically paying no tax, no shipping cost, no import or export duties. So they can afford to sell these crazy, crazy cheap, which is just kind of how it works in China. So this is a really enviable tablet that you'll never see. And yeah, it really does. It just looks so much like an iPad mini. It hurts.
But here's the silver lining, because this is based on the Tegra K1 platform, which means that anybody who wants to make a tablet similar to this can, except they can make it not look so much like an Apple product and sell it here, right?
Potentially so.
Yeah. Maybe not as cheaply, but yeah. Anyways. All right, so one last little PSA that we thought we'd throw in here because it seemed to just invoke some really good responses in the comments on the website. There's apparently some rumors going around about going around.
Yeah, going all around.
They're going all around.
It's true.
Some rumors going around about the OnePlus One and a secret hidden super special micro SD card slot. So Ryan, what's the story there?
So when the phone was at the FCC, the manual that OnePlus included actually talks about a micro SD card slot. And of course we know the phone does not have one of those. But the internet was so totally sure.
Do we really know that?
Yes, we know that. But the internet was just so totally sure that there was actually a secret SD card slot someplace on this phone that we felt the need to just real quick just post and say, by the way, it doesn't. And people just didn't want to believe us, I guess. But I mean, eventually OnePlus actually responded and said it was just a mistake in the manual. They probably just used some boilerplate stuff from another phone, and it just found its way in there. Yeah, I know. Yeah, fine. Yeah, we speculated it was the Find 7, but they said,
it's almost like they're really similar or something. I don't know.
They were like, no, it was just a mistake, just a regular old mistake where we just wrote a whole section that doesn't apply to the phone. But whatever. But bottom line, yeah, there's no SD card slot on that phone.
All right,
Not
so
visible anyway.
what
Yeah.
are you sure
No,
it's
yeah,
not?
you have to open it up and then solder something onto the circuit board to make the SD card slot work.
And I'm sure to hit it with a hammer really hard too.
Actually,
Yeah.
the SD
And
card
then hit
slot is
yourself.
inside. The SD card slot is inside the battery, so you have to.
You have to pry that open.
The files that
also-
are inside the computer.
And also, you have to sacrifice a chicken to make the slot work. So get on that.
Open it up.
That's a
Yeah.
deal
Add a
breaker.
card reader to it and recompile the kernel. It's
Nev-
easy as 1, 2, 3.
Never settle for a phone that doesn't require chicken sacrifice.
Here's the Dalvik cache 80 times.
Oh, clear your battery stats for sure.
Clear the battery stats, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
That would be funny. Clear the Dalvik cache like 16 times, and then all of a sudden a hidden trap door opens. Just
It'll like the
A little
SD
bit of
card slot-
confetti flies out of it.
Yeah, the SD card slot will just shoot right out the top of the phone and smack you in the forehead, and that's how you know you've unlocked the secret. And it makes the Zelda secret chime when it opens up, so you really feel like you've accomplished something.
And there's a little dummy thing in the slot that says never settle.
I feel like this is the thing that they should do now. If they make another phone, they should actually do this because it would be wonderful.
Nice.
All right, so you may recall back at CES that LG had announced a new fitness band called the Life Band, and also some bizarre heart rate monitor earphones called Heart Rate earphones, which is a brilliant name for heart rate monitor earphones. But up until now, announcing them was about all they did. It seems like they had forgotten about them until, well, this week. It seems that they're going to be available on May 18th for those of you who are keeping track, that's Sunday, and they'll be $179 each. Well, actually, we don't even know that because they didn't really give us a price, but at CES they said it was $179 each, so we'll just go with that. So if you're wondering what in the world you would do with these devices, well, you would track your fitness because that's what everything does that you wear on your wrist these days, so why expect it would do anything else? The heart rate monitor also, of course, can sync up with a smartphone or the LifeBand itself to track your heart rate. So that's the thing.
Hey, Verizon Moto Droid peoples! If you got the Razer M, the Razer HD, and the Razer Max HD, you get KitKat 4.4.2. Also, the Droid Mini, Droid Ultra, and Droid Max receive some bug fixes. So, do it. Go. Update.
Verizon Note 3 owners will be glad to see that a KitKat update is rolling out to their devices this week. The update, of course, comes 5 months after the release of KitKat and 2 months after AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile rolled out the exact same update for their handsets. So if you're a Verizon user, your bloody wait has finally ended, and I don't know why it's bloody. It shouldn't be bloody. Don't bloody yourself.
That's gross, Matt.
That's a bad idea. But anyways, if you haven't seen the update yet, you should probably check for it soon. Check via keys. That'd be the way to go.
There's a bloody wait. It's time for product reviews. This week's product review: the Samsung Gear 2 with David Ruddock.
Okay, so the Gear 2 is... I already talked about the Gear Fit. The Gear 2 is like a lot like the Gear Fit, but it does extra things you don't care about, and it's got a square screen instead of a rectangular one, which makes it easier to read stuff. They actually sent out a software update to it the day after I got it that makes notifications better, in that you can actually, if you get a Gmail notification and you tap it, it'll say show on device, and then it actually opens that email on your phone. Whereas before, yeah, I know, right? It's super duper impressive.
That's cool.
Whereas before, it just opened the Gmail app and just told you to kind of go fuck yourself and find the email yourself. So it's a lot better in that respect. As far as the hardware goes, I think it's reasonably good looking as a smartwatch goes. I think it looks better than the original Gear. It's a lot of little hardware changes that kind of add up to a overall more attractive device. I wouldn't say it's exactly chic, but it just looks better, I guess.
It's
For
just a lack of bump, you know it. It's just a lack of a bump.
Pretty much. So there's also they changed the way things were oriented. There used to be the speaker on the bottom of the wrist strap, which made no sense at all. And they moved that into the body of the watch along with the microphone. And the camera used to be on the wristband, which also made no sense and looked awful. And now it's integrated into the body of the watch. There's an IR blaster on it now if you want to look like an idiot trying to change the volume on your television. And that's really it for the major hardware. It runs a dual-core processor now, which makes it go much faster to do those things that you're not going to use it for. The battery life is better because it runs Tizen now. 3 to 4 days with normal usage, Samsung says, and or maybe 2 to 3, I forget. And up to 6 days with light usage, which is what I experienced because I really didn't find much use for it. I just think Samsung's vision of what a smartwatch should be is not correct. So what Samsung does, I think, is they try to turn a smartwatch into a tiny smartphone. Like, they look what a smartphone does, and they say to themselves, okay, how much of this can we put in a watch and make it usable? And that's their whole philosophy for a smartwatch, which I'm getting a phone call, apparently.
Does it have hover hands?
It doesn't. Somebody's... Why? Go away. Anyways, so I think the way their philosophy on smartwatch, it's just going to keep bringing. It's a stupid iPad.
Got too many devices. This is the problem we all suffer from occasionally. Your desk just explodes, and there's nothing you can do about it.
God, what was I saying? So I just think that is a philosophy. Approaching a smartwatch as a shrunken down smartphone is not inventive. It's really easy to do that. And I think that a smartwatch should be something we approach with the philosophy of, okay, what do people do on their smartphones that actually would be better served by something on their wrist? And that's kind of the same question that Google Glass asks, is what do people do with their smartphones that would be better served by a computer attached to their face? I think that's the same basic question you should ask with the smartwatch, because, some people have initially complained about Glass, said, oh, it doesn't do anything. Why isn't it like a smartphone on my face? Well, because it shouldn't be a smartphone on your face. It should augment and enhance your smartphone's capabilities to make your life easier and make using your phone less of a hassle. But Samsung basically says, fuck that. We want to make your smartwatch a tiny phone. You can make phone calls on it, send quick replies to SMSs, and do all kinds of stuff that you really shouldn't do on a smartwatch. Like, who would pull out their smartwatch and open the dialer app and dial a phone number? Like, why would you ever do that? It doesn't make any sense. And somebody out there is going to say, I would totally do that. And you know what? You're weird, and you should feel bad for having that opinion.
Okay, let me ask you. So can you tether a gear and a Bluetooth headset simultaneously to your phone?
No.
Well, then there's literally no reason to ever dial a number on your watch.
Guys, what if you're at a ski lodge and there's this cute girl and...
Well, let me just stop you right there. You strike out because you have the Gear 2 and not the Galaxy Gear, and the Galaxy Gear is the one that gets the ladies. Because
also,
it
you would
has
strike
the bump.
out because the pictures of dogs that you would show her would be really small.
Yeah, very small. Yeah, you need. If you don't have the Pad Phone X, your dog pictures are too small. I mean, the watch, it's so tiny.
Totally. So yeah, it's not good. It costs $300 for God knows what reason, and you shouldn't buy it. Just don't. Don't buy the Gear 2 Neo either, because you're just paying less money for something that's equally as shitty.
I'm disappointed that wasn't the title of the review.
I mean,
Maybe that will be the title of the Gear
the
2.
title should have been Frozen Pizza with Sriracha. That should have been the title, but missed out on that one.
All right, so if you happen to have the original Samsung Galaxy Gear, it appears as though you might be getting an update, or I don't know, can you call it an update when it's just a completely different operating system? I don't know. But anyways, apparently Galaxy Gear Original is going to be more like the Galaxy Gear 2 because, well, hey, it looks like they're going to roll out a Tizen update to it for whatever reason. You have that to look forward to, or not, because it's probably going to break everything that you have currently using or running on your watch. All right, let's move on to app updates.
That was my dentist, by the way. Those motherfuckers called me at 6 at night. What dentist calls somebody at 6 p.m.? I have no business with you after 5 o'clock.
That's service. They're late. Most dentists are out of there at 4 p.m.
They can't call you earlier because they're too busy cleaning teeth.
It's an inadequate excuse. They can do two things at once.
Would you want the person cleaning your teeth to like have a phone wedged in here while they're
probably, because you'd avoid that awkward dentist person with things in their mouth conversation where it's like, oh, you're asking me a question and your hand is in my mouth.
What's even better is you could make their conversation with whoever they're talking to extremely awkward. All right, so we talked a little bit last week about Portal for the Shield and how it was pretty stinking awesome. And this week there's a new addition because, well, the Portal is officially available for the NVIDIA Shield, and there is also a new release, the Half-Life 2. It's available as well. So what's up with that, Ryan?
Well, yeah, they told us when Portal was going to be out, and so that was expected. And then just late last week, they said, oh, by the way, we're going to do Half-Life 2 as well. And then they released them both on the same day, which, okay, I guess that's awesome. They both run on the same version of the Source engine, so it was, I guess, pretty trivial to port Half-Life 2 after they knew Portal worked pretty well. Or maybe they did them in the other order, who knows. But both of them are on the Shield now. They're each $10, and they're very good. I've been playing Half-Life 2 as well now, and it is every bit as cool as it was on PC.
Are the graphics like the draw distance way toned down?
I haven't noticed anything super obvious like that. I mean, I have to. I've been meaning to download the PC version again just to look and see how different it is. I mean, it's the same thing where, if you take a screenshot and then look at it on a higher res screen and like zoom in, you can see a lot of aliasing. But I mean, shrunken down on the screen of the Shield, it's not really noticeable at all. So I think maybe they might have been able to keep the sort of the big environments without screwing up any of the draw stuff by just making the edges a little bit rougher, because you can't really tell on a tiny 720p screen.
Oh, we had another voicemail this week.
We did have a voicemail. Would you like to hear it, Matt?
I haven't heard it yet. It came in late in the day, and I'm excited to hear what our faithful listeners have to say.
Hello, AP. It's your favorite fixture, the towel rack, with another round of Piper Wants to Know. Last week we talked about user interfaces better referred to as sauces, and everybody agreed that the Google experience is the best. In coordination with last week's question, this week I want to know, what is the worst sauce in your opinion? I'm taking the trans out of transcription. Piper the DJ. Good night.
I think Piper was nipping into the sauce a little bit. What do you guys think? Oh, that was a drinking reference.
It was.
Yes.
So this week we're going to do it a little bit backwards. Instead of answering what the voicemail said, we're going to answer the transcription. Hello, ladies. It's your favorite fixture, the towel rack, with another round. All Piper wants to know this week, we talked about user interface is been referred to as sauces, and everybody agrees that the Google experience is the best. In coordination with last week's question this week, I want to know, what the little worse sauce, in your opinion? I'm talking that friends out of transcription type of the day. Good night.
You know, it's funny, for the best voice recognition
That's
like
good
company in the world, they just
Yeah.
Yeah, I
can't do it.
yeah, it's
So
unfortunate.
what's the worst sauce?
The worst sauce.
We are still talking about interfaces, right? Or are we talking about like sriracha?
Any type of sauce that you feel compelled to talk about.
I think Papa John's is the worst sauce.
Yes, it is rather lackluster. I will grant you that. Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not
You're
a fan
not
of
allowed to agree with
hollandaise.
that. You're from Papa John territory. You're not allowed to agree with that.
That's true. My vote is hollandaise then. Not a huge fan.
I think
Blow
out
away.
of all the major OEMs, LG's is the worst.
Yeah, they hopefully they have fixed it with the G3, because it was just a real mess. I have repeatedly complained about their ridiculous use of software buttons before, and their insistence that they just shouldn't have a multitasking button.
You know, the only reason people hate TouchWiz more is because Samsung is so popular. If LG was as popular as Samsung, LG would get the shit made fun out of it. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah,
especially
even like
on old
even
phones.
last year when TouchWiz was noticeably worse than it is on the Galaxy S5, it was still a lot better than LG's software.
Are you guys saying that you don't like having the options to use Comic Sans throughout your entire phone and make your nav bar a pink quilt? Because those are pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
Wait, you can make your nav bar a pink quilt?
Yeah. You can choose like a little pink quilted texture. It's really
How do I
nice.
do that?
It's so touchable.
Yeah, Samsung still includes the ridiculous fonts on the Galaxy S5, though. It is horrible, and I wish they wouldn't do it.
LG looks better than TouchWiz if you have no eyeballs. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, you can't say that. You're not allowed to say that, because it's not true. It's the end of the story.
It is an objective fact.
It is. There's no discussing it.
LG.
Okay, well, yeah, sad for LG then.
Wah, wah.
I'm really sad that I can't find the pink quilt setting on my G Flex.
It's just a checkbox in the main menu. Just check the pink quilt box.
Wait, you have a G Flex?
I do.
Have you sat on it?
Why do you wait? Why do you have a G Flex? Did you actually buy that phone?
No, I did not.
Did you find it on the street?
Were there a
No,
pile
it
of
was-
them? Were there a pile of them in a
It
trash
was a
can?
charity
It
phone.
fell off a truck, and by a truck I mean I had one.
A very
right.
nice person gave it to me in a time of need.
Ah.
And also David was involved. But no, I washed my Nexus in the washing machine.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yes. But I'm ordering my replacement Nexus tomorrow, so I will get rid of this G-Flex soon.
Are you getting the red one?
No, I'm getting the one that T-Mobile's insurance sends me.
Oh.
No. Do you know for
What's
sure
the
they're
red one?
actually sending you the Nexus? Or are they going to pull that thing where they're like, here's an equivalent phone?
I want it to be the Galaxy Nexus.
Yeah.
We never actually stocked this phone, but here you go.
Well, I mean,
It's a
the
Verizon
insurance-
model.
I mean, the insurance is third party technically, right? So they could
Yeah, it
probably
is.
send them anything. So yeah, they could just be here's a T-Mobile Sidekick 4G. It's a couple years old, but still an Android
probably a
smartphone.
Well, I was holding out hope until earlier that maybe they'd send me a Kyocera Echo, but then David informed me that's a Sprint-only thing, so
Yeah.
bummer.
Bye. Anything else?
We got contests. Actually, we don't. There are no contests, but AndroidPolice.com/contest. Check it out.
There are gonna be contests, I think. I read that somewhere.
Wait, say that again. You were saying words.
No, it's okay. Never mind.
You said there are going to be contests.
There probably will be. I think I read that somewhere.
At some point, but we have no confirmation.
Do you have inside sources?
I do. His
Let them
name's
out.
Cameron.
Let them out. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show. As always, send your feedback to podcast@androidpolice.com. You can also call us at 530-HELLO-AP. That's 530-435-5627. Find us on Twitter at Android Police, Google Plus, and Facebook.
You know something I just noticed?
No, we do not
Um,
know something that you just noticed.
Well, you're about to.
Sweet.
If you use the swipe up gesture from the home button on the home screen, now comes in from the left. But if you're anywhere else, like in recents or inside of an app or something, it comes from
Yes.
the bottom.
This is true. I too have noticed this.
Why? I hate that it's on the left. Like, I'll never
Samsung's
stop
phone, it just
being angry about
appears.
that.
There's no animation at all.
It just
It just
That sounds-
materializes.
that sounds really pleasant.
And here's Google now. Fuck you. Why aren't you using S voice? It's pretty much what the phone is saying.
I remember
well,
when
disabled
S-Voice
all
came
the
out.
Samsung apps, all of them.
Yeah.
The phone actually doesn't feel any faster though.
Yeah, I feel they didn't really add anything compelling to S-Voice this time, though. I think it's kind of funny. They just sort of said, okay, look, the UI has been updated, and that's it. We know you're going to turn it
Yeah,
off.
Samsung's design directive for all their apps this time. All right, just flatten that shit out. It was
Oh,
it was touch with steamroller.
Blew it up and flatten it out, and also hide the notification bar because fuck you.
Pretty much that is their modus operandi.
So sad about the pink quilt option not being present.
Well, I guess they learned their lesson.
Also, I find it hilarious that on the Galaxy S5 you can add emergency contacts into your phone.
What does that do?
I don't even know. But there's also a Geo News widget which shows you if there is an earthquake recently nearby
Yeah,
or a
I know.
tornado. Or outside.
It's this most pointless widget, and it runs in the background all the time, just in
Yeah, it
case.
does.
Even if you don't have the widget on the home screen, it's just like it's just in case there's an earthquake. We're here for
Just
you.
an earthquake.
I may be okay with the way TouchWiz looks in this incarnation, but there's no denying Samsung's still kind of dipshitty on the features.
Your
Yeah,
understanding of the emergency contacts feature is totally wrong. It's just a little pouch full of saline solution.
I know
That's
that, like
a
in that
contact
blocking
joke.
mode thing. Oh, that's good. I know in blocking mode for that phone, you can set it to allow emergency contacts through. So I mean, it does that, but
Oh, I
don't
get
know.
it. It's an extra power saving mode. You can only make calls to emergency contacts and do SMS, and that's it.
Only letting emergency contacts through during like quiet hours or something doesn't make sense to me though, because you're essentially saying like I think these people will have an emergency, so they should be able to contact me. Like, people who you're expecting an emergency from versus...
I think you can call any number, but if you open the dialer, it just shows your emergency contacts.
Mhm.
My phone's about to die. Emergency. Come get me a charger.
I was gonna... No, never mind. I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say.
Say it.
No. It's
Do it.
bad.
Do it. The show's over. Do it.
We're still on the air. I can't. It's not even forming into a cohesive thought.
Will you tell us later once we're off the air?
Okay.
Just type it. Can you just type it in the EP chat right now? David's just like, oh, God, fine.
Oh my god.
Like I told you, this is pretty bad.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Come on, say that. That would be something that I said out loud.
Exactly.
And then you would have to apologize profusely.
Everybody knows I have no filter, and they hate me for it. But it's okay.
Okay.
By
All
the
right.
way,
well,
with County in the chat room, there is no theme button on the front touch buttons options on this phone for some reason. So.
oh, and also, Freak for Dell didn't leave a message this week, so he's dead to me.
He
And
is.
we need to boot him out of the chat room. I keep forgetting.
He's forever going to be known as #1 TouchWiz fanboy.
Number
Yeah.
one. With a star.
Yeah.
With the star and Comic Sans.
Yes. Yes, Comic Sans. Comic Sans extruded. Maybe Comic Sans word art. I'm gonna make this now.
Angled. I want it extra italic.
There's gonna be a long shadow on the extruded
Yes.
Comic Sans.
Also, bevel and embossed.
I'm doing this right now. I'm gonna put it Illustrator.
You need a little bit of a bump texture on there too.
I can. I'll add some
Drop
noise to those.
drop shadow, and outer glow.
Can we make the IRC admin automatically rename him Freak for Apple every week?
Or Freak for Dell Streak.
Freak for How about Streak for Dell? I like that.
Yeah, it's Freak for Dell. That works.
R.I.P. Freak for Dell. That is funny. Huh.
That's good.
All right, I'm going to end the podcast because that's what happens at the end of the podcast.
Yep.
So that's what happened every week.
It's very zen.
Stop broadcast.
I'm gonna tell you guys super secrets after we go off.
Cool.
Yeah, let's talk